Hello, this is another video on Hornby Dublo maintenance. Today we're going to discuss Trackwork. Okay, first I think we should discuss cleaning and inspection. Now this is a piece of track that is probably like this when you buy it. They're already about 50 years old. Now the best way to clean it is to just put it in a bowl of warm soapy water and use a nail brush and give it a good scrubbing all over. Then after it's dried off, you can get either one of these pot scourers or one of these spongy sandpaper things, and it comes right up quite easily. You can even if you want to, you can do the edge of the, just like that. It makes it look a little bit more presentable. And if you have a little bit of paint on the outside edge, this one's clean. The pot scourer often takes the paint off, or at least takes some of it off, makes it look a little bit better. And you need to inspect it. First of all, you need to check maybe for flatness. You can see when I lay this down on my work table, it's not very good. So if you just tend to work it a little bit, you twist it, bend it, you have to spend maybe a little bit of time on it, but already you can see it's getting better. The screws will pull down the last mil or two. Okay, now these fish plates are very important because they not only keep the trackwork in alignment, they also conduct the electricity from one track to the other, along with the tongue here. As you can see, this fish plate is just very loose. It's no good for aligning the track or conducting electricity in that condition. So what I do here is, if you've got a good pair of tweezers, needle nose, you can pull that directly out. Otherwise you can just bend the tab down a little bit from this side and then pull it out. Right, then I get a pair, put the fish plate in my pliers, just like that, and then squeeze it down just a little bit, working along the length, and turn it around, doing the same to that side, until it looks something like that. There should still be a gap down the middle there, so you'll be able to get it on, and the little tongue on the end there should be bent down, I don't know, probably 20-30 degrees or something like that. Now I've also noticed on this track that the end piece is bent up. That's quite a common occurrence, so let's just straighten that out a bit. There, it didn't take much. Now I can put it back in. Just push it home, and then if you give it a couple of taps on the end, it bends the tab back over for you. So now we have a firm connection that'll give you a good conductivity as well. Next we have this piece, the tongue here. This also is for carrying the power, and this is not so bad, but often you find them very loose. This is loose. You can try and fold the tabs over and make them tight, but that doesn't really work. I find the best way to deal with this is to solder it. I like to use a little bit of flux. Make sure it's clean. If it's got oil on, it won't work at all. And if my soldering iron's hot, yeah, I think so, It just takes a couple of seconds. And there you go. It's that's firm. Now you have good conductivity throughout. Next we need to check the isolation between the middle rail and the outer rail. How I do this is I use just a bit of paper. You can use a multimeter as well, but it's best to just check that there is a gap between the rail and the base all the way along the length. When it's on the track and you have a short, you can also do this, but then you can when you have the screw in, you also go between the screw head and the rail as well to make sure the screw head's not touching. When it's attached to the table and we want to clean it, I don't use abrasives. I only use abrasive the first time. I just use a bit of lighter fluid and put a spot on a cloth, and then just wipe it over. It comes off very easy. You might need to get a clean part and wipe it again, and then maybe polish it off to make sure it's clean. Okay, screws. I like to use screws with tiny heads. This is a 2mm by 12mm, and you can see how small the head is on that. It's a countersunk screw, which I also prefer, but you can see because the head is screw, there is plenty of space between the head and the middle rail, so there's no chance of that shorting out. If you use a flathead screw that's the head is a little bit larger, you can see it's very close to the rail, and then you have a little bit of movement because it's not countersunk. You have a little bit of side movement, and there's a possibility that could touch in the future sometime, causing short circuits and headaches trying to discover which screw it is. Yeah, I think that covers that rail. When you're checking, you need to also check the insulation around any points like this. You can see there's a sleeve around here to insulate. Sometimes these come all the way in and you'll get a short circuit there as well. Okay, next we can look at some diamond crossings. They often give you problems with derailing, and I've found the general reason for that is this plastic or whatever it is piece of in the middle. I don't know if it swells over time or what, but it often seems to be, you can see right there, it's rocking. It often seems to be too big. And the wheel, when it comes along, because the outside diameter of the wheel, the rim of the wheel, rides on this area here and through the gap and trips up over the length. To cut that down, because it's inside the slot there, I just use a regular hacksaw blade. You can put it in like that, and then you can just cut away until this becomes shiny, because then you know you're flush. Or you can check it with your straight edge, making sure it's right. Now these need to be kept very clean, like everything on your track work, because when the loco is sitting on there, there's often only one wheel touching the metal parts, two wheels on the plastic and one wheel's probably just rocking in the air, so you've only got continuity through one wheel. And with the pickups, as you can see there, pickup will only have continuity on one pickup at a time. So unless it's very clean and your wheels are clean, your pickups are clean, you'll have problems. Another thing I'd like to mention with these crossings, and also with points, is that you often put two tracks together, and two of these together, and you'll find there's a gap here, and that won't close up. As I say, this happens with points as well, so it makes it pretty bad. So the reason for this is that some fish plates have this little tongue on there. They have a tongue on both ends for some reason, and they interfere with the fit. So what I do is I just snip it off. Then you can put it together, and you see it's closed up. Okay, another thing I forgot to mention is while you're inspecting your rails, is check the end of the rail is flush with the base. If it's not, you can tap it backwards or forwards, or if it's already screwed to the track and you find that you have large gaps, you can even the gaps up a little bit with, I use this, it's a little pair of pinchers. I just put it on there, and you can tap that, and the rail will slide through there. Also, another thing I use while I've got the hammer with me is after laying 2 or 3 pieces, normally just the straights, I put 2 or 3 pieces down, then I'll put a block on the end here, and then I'll get a couple of taps, and that will close all the joints up as tight as possible before I continue laying any more. Okay, now points. Points are maybe the biggest problem, because they're tinplate and they can distort and be trodden on and all sorts of problems, and they need to be in good condition. Now the problem with shorts often is, as I explained in a previous video, was that if you're not in line with your collector shoes here down the centre line of the train, like this one, I've twisted it out, there is a possibility for a short, and I'm going to try and demonstrate where this is. Well, it's not a short actually, it's where the rails actually lift the shoe collector off the middle rail altogether. Now if you watch this point here, you can see that we are very, very close to this touching on the collector, and if this collector is worn in the middle, it may even be touching now. I can't really see, but if it's touching on the points rail on this piece, then it will lift it off the middle rail, and your loco will stall. Another area that we can look at is the guide. There's some little guides. These guides right here. Okay, as the loco comes down there, if you watch the collector, it's actually touching. You can see it lifting. It's actually lifting off the middle rail. So that's another problem, and it can also happen on this one. This one I bent over just to demonstrate this point. You can straighten it out a bit and hopefully fix the problem. But there are areas you need to keep in check. This also has to be kept very clean, and the wheels and everything, because there are electrical dead spots as the collectors go over. There's only one collection point when the shoe's right in this position, and that also happens to be at the same point on there at the back end, so when the front is lifted off the rail you have no electricity power at all going through, and the same at this end when the shoe is being lifted off by the point. The back end is in the insulated area. Okay, now this is the same as the curved track. It's pretty much bent. They bend easy, so you can twist them back easy as well. A couple of twists like that, and it's already getting there. You spend a little bit more time and it's nearly there. Another place to check is use a straight edge and place it across there. You can see there's a gap right there. The wheels go on there, and your loco would be coming off the rails if you use this track. So you can just get this and you can just tease it back into shape like that. It's quite easily done. You could tease it back maybe even a little bit higher in the middle, and then when you put the screw in you could possibly pull it down with a screw. And I'd like to demonstrate just how to screw these down best. I always drill because I use chipboard for my layout tabletop. Drilling makes it easy, as the screw goes in nice and easy as well. Now here you have the. Now what I do is I put the screw in like it is now, and then I waggle the track backwards and forwards, and if it's a countersunk screw you'll notice that gradually the play gets less and less and less, and right there it's almost, I can still move it so it's not tight, it's not pulling the middle down, it's still straight across there, and that's good enough to hold it down. It won't move anywhere. But if you carry on pushing down, if you carry on tightening down like that, you see straight away the damage that can be caused. There's a large gap formed, and this often won't come out when you unscrew it, although no, there's still a little bit there. But just waggle it around, and as soon as it stops waggling, that's tight enough. Right, you may have occasion to shorten rails. I often shorten my rails, and how I do it is to, when I make the cut, is I leave the center rail maybe 1 or 2 millimeters longer than the rail itself, and the rail I'm going to attach it to, first I will put an insulation tab. This is just a bit of paper with a bit of tape on there, a bit of plastic tape. Just put that in like so. After the cut you might need to just pull these edges down a little bit so you can get at the fish plate in, and then you can put it together like so. And make sure the rail that you left longer just goes over the top of the rail like so. That's good. And then you can just dab a bit of solder on there. Then you'll have continuity, and you'll have a track that's any length you like. Okay, thank you very much for watching this movie.